Humanitarian agencies are sounding the alarm over the rise of mass kidnappings targeting school children in Nigeria. The latest one happened just days ago. The UN estimates nearly 1,000 students have been abducted since December. Most of the kidnappings are taking place in the country's northern region, with Kaduna State hardest hit. Kidnap for ransom is quickly becoming a thriving industry in Nigeria, one that has grown significantly since 2014, when Boko Haram insurgents kidnapped 300 school children in Chibok. Since then, Amnesty International says more than 600 schools have been closed because of safety concerns, and the COVID-19 pandemic has only made it worse. Girls account for most of the 10 million plus Nigerian children who are not attending school and have the most to lose. Time now for the exchange, where we look at why keeping girls in school benefits everyone. Our next guest was almost killed by the Pakistani Taliban for supporting a girl's right to learn. In part two of a wide-ranging interview with Zain Asher, spoke to Malala Yousafzai about why educating girls is such a critical issue.
So we've talked a lot on this show about women and girls weathering the storm of this pandemic. And we've had a lot of experts on the show, people from think tanks, but you're in a real unique position because you've experienced similar plight, similar trials as the very people you are trying to help. You've experienced the very worst of gender-based violence. What do you want the world to know about what women and girls are going through because of this pandemic?
Girls' education has been a key cause that I am fighting for. And I was one of those girls who could not go to school when I was only 11 years old. So I know how important it is for a girl to be in school, for her protection, for her safety, but also for her future, for her independence. And I have been fighting for it because there are 130 million girls who are out of school right now. And I believe that we should create a world where every girl has access to safe, free, and quality education. Because of this pandemic, Malala Fund conducted a research straight away, and it estimated that there is a risk that 20 million more girls could lose their education because they're now limited to their houses. They're either helping their family in their household chores, or they are pushed into early child marriages, or they are becoming the financial supporters of their family. Because of these reasons, there are many girls who are not able to continue their studies from home, and they're never able to return to their schools. So my mission and my hope is that we reduce the number of the millions of girls who are out of school and bring it down to zero. But right now, because of the COVID pandemic, there is the risk that we could see more girls being deprived of their education.
Yeah, you were saying about 20 million more girls in addition to the 120 million that are already out of school. And because of this pandemic, they're going through just awful things, whether it's gender-based violence, not being able to support their families, not being able to feed their families, either for the women who are already out of school and are working. But it's also important to note, Malala, that these problems are certainly very layered and very nuanced and very complex. So what women and girls are going through in my home country, Nigeria, is very different from what women and girls are going through in your home country, Pakistan. Just walk us through some of the nuances that the world should be aware of.
Yes, you're very right, Zain. This is the reality. It's not as simple, unfortunately, and that's why the approach that Malala Fund has adopted is to work with local education activists. We call them Malala Fund education activists, and we are currently working in more than 8 countries, including Nigeria, Pakistan, India, Brazil, Afghanistan, because the reasons why girls may not have access to school vary depending on the region. It could be lack of female teachers, it could be lack of transportations, it could be the lack of government level policies that could provide girls the needs that make sure that they are in school, from sanitary products to enough female teachers in school to safety in school. So there are 3 goals that we focus on. First is financing for education. Unfortunately, financing for education has been stagnant, and especially in COVID times, world leaders have been reluctant to support girls' education, and we are seeing a decrease in their funding. So in these times, it's crucial that we push them to continue spending on education. Then the second is challenging social norms because they play a crucial role in the rights and opportunities that girls have in a society. And then the third one is quality education. And in that, there are some key elements that we should be focusing on, including physical safety, sex education, and a lot more to ensure that girls and all of us are receiving the education, the quality education that we need.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest issues that you just touched upon is challenging social norms, because that is so hard, because you're talking about years of conditioning, generations of conditioning that is very difficult to undo. I want to hone in on one country in particular, my home country, Nigeria. You've spent time in Nigeria, and I sort of get the impression that Nigeria is a place that is very close to your heart. The issue of girls' education in Nigeria came to the world's attention, of course, in 2014 with the Missing Girls campaign, the Bring Back Our Girls campaign. But ever since that time, it sort of faded from view a little bit. You know, do you think the world has become desensitized to the plight of women and girls in northern Nigeria, particularly girls being kidnapped from school, girls not being able to go to school? And what do you think we can do as a society to keep the world's attention on this issue?
You're very right. Sometimes certain issues get attention on media and then they fade away because it's not trending anymore. But unfortunately, the realities don't change. Abductions have happened repeatedly in Nigeria after the abduction in 2014, and it has happened before as well. It was that one incident that got a lot of media attention, and it should get in all of those incidents should get the attention because it's about the safety of these girls when they are in school. They should not be worried about some terrorist group abducting them. They should be there learning, reading, writing, just as any student would want to do. So it is just unimaginable to think about the atrocities that girls have faced there. And I was lucky that I had the opportunity to go to Nigeria twice, and I also met the girls' parents who were abducted by Boko Haram. And just the pain that I saw in their eyes and in their hearts was unimaginable. The atrocities that they have been through, the difficulties that they have been through. And since then, we have been working in Nigeria, working with the local activists there who are fighting for girls' education, who are challenging the barriers that girls are facing. They're pushing for state level policy changes to ensure that girls have access to safe and quality education.
I mean, just in terms of you know, your impressions of Nigeria. I mean, listen, it was a dire situation back then for women and girls, but the violence and the insecurity in Nigeria has only increased since then. It is a tough country to hold together, even in the best of times. Were you hopeful when you left Nigeria, Malala?
A bit of like attention was brought to the issue. The education ministry, have been working there, and so there has been, a bit of attention to the issue, and also some of the girls were released from abduction. And I know it is a challenging place, and but that is true about so many other countries as well, and that should not stop us from working for education. I think it's often time these excuses that we use, saying that there is a lot of terrorism, extremism, this country is not safe, so we shouldn't work there, and things remain as they are. Things often worsen. So it's important that we do what is in our capacity and make sure that we contribute towards the empowerment of people, of girls, and contribute a bit towards sustaining peace.